ride to Ottawa, but decanted some into a plastic water bottle to save for later. I don't remember arriving in Ottawa that night. I don't remember hailing a taxi and stumbling into the apartment and somehow managing not to wake up my sleeping wife and stepdaughter. What I do remember is waking up the next morning sick to my stomach and walking out into the kitchen where my wife was preparing my stepdaughter's lunch for school. I gave her a kiss, and she could smell the mints I'd put in my mouth just moments before. She immediately had a panicked look on her face, thinking I'd been drinking. I lied, told her it was just mints. I walked into the living room where my stepdaughter was watching TV as she ate her breakfast. I gave her a kiss on the forehead and told her I loved her so much. I had to vomit, and I was trying desperately to hold it in for what would have been roughly 15 minutes, since I knew that's when my wife would be taking my stepdaughter to school. As hard as I tried, though, I just couldn't. I was too sick. The devastated expression on my wife's face as she entered the bathroom while I clung to the toilet and vomited will haunt me forever. She held the water bottle I'd hid in my dresser. It still had a little bit of vodka in it. As her eyes filled with tears, my heart filled with self-loathing. Neither of us spoke, but it was in that moment we both knew our marriage was over. When I finished throwing up, I took my last 2 Percocet and logged onto my computer to book a plane ticket back to Connecticut. I called my parents to let them know what had happened and that I'd need a ride from the airport. They were heartbroken and worried, but said they would be there. They'd been through this before. Luckily for me, my suitcase was still packed. During the taxi ride to the airport, I felt so physically and emotionally ill that I asked the cab driver to stop so I could buy a bottle of vodka. Then I went to a grocery store and bought a bottle of Gatorade. What is it with me and sports drinks? They contain electrolytes, which can help with hangovers, or maybe that's just some urban legend I bought into for all these years. I took my first swig of vodka in the grocery store bathroom and then poured the rest into the Gatorade bottle, leaving just enough so that the color stayed purple. A very diluted purple, but purple enough for my purposes. I got back into the taxi and we headed to the airport. I was extremely nauseated. My hope was that the swig of vodka I'd taken in the bathroom would help settle me, but it had the opposite effect. For the duration of that 30-minute ride, it was all I could do to not throw up in the back seat of the taxi. I made it to the airport terminal, found a bathroom, and puked there. Then I drank more vodka and sat in a waiting area to let things settle, but they wouldn't, so back to the bathroom I went for another round of vomiting. Followed that with another drink. I finished the bottle and this time didn't throw up. The nausea was starting to subside, but the emotional pain was still there, and it took everything I had not to burst into tears in the middle of Ottawa International Airport. Once I got through security, I found a restaurant near my gate, ordered a double shot of vodka, and ate a breakfast sandwich. After finishing both, I ordered another drink, and the nausea was finally gone. When I called my parents to check in, I couldn't hold back my tears. I was in so much pain about so many things, not the least being the fact that here I was again, putting my parents through the hell of having to watch me relapse. As I descended into the nightmare of my own making, it began to sink in that my marriage was over. My entire world was about to be upended. I'd built my life, my career around advocating for healing, spirituality, and recovery, and here I was returning to substances. I was broken and lost in a way I had never been before. And if you've read my previous 2 books, you know that, like many of us, I'd already been through my share of vodka and pill-induced wake-up-and-vomit marathons. After I got off the phone with my parents, I had an odd moment of clarity, odd in that it happened while I was a total shit show in every sense of the word and in every possible way. I knew that even though I'd taken Percocet and had a lot to drink, I was not going to travel all the way back down the road of extensive, full-blown relapse as I had so many times in the past. I'd come too far and worked too hard on myself and in my life to do that. Knowing in my heart I would not return to the chaotic, self-destructive, and all-consuming cycle that is addiction, I called my mentor in Refuge Recovery, a Buddhist approach to recovery from addiction, which I'll get into later, and let him know what had happened. I also told him that although I would drink a bit more throughout the day, I was not going to succumb after that. While he didn't want me to keep drinking, he understood where I was at with